right. Page 119, chapter 7. Here, then, is Talison's grand conundrum taken to pieces and reassembled in orderly form with the answer attached to each riddle. It was the tower of the work of which Nimrod was overseer, Babel. I saw the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Lada. I was at the court of dawn before the birth of Gwydion. My head was at the White Hill in the hall of Cymbeline, and it is not known whether my body is flesh or fish. Vron. I stood with Mary Magdalene at the place of crucifixion of the merciful Son of God, Salome. I was the banner carried before Alexander, Ne Esthen. I strengthened Moses in the land of the deity, Her. I was in Canaan when Absalom was slain. I am winged with the genius of the splendid Crozier, David. A primary chief bard am I to Elphin, who was in stocks and fetters for a year and a day. At first I was little Gwion and obtained my inspiration from the cauldron of the hag Cerdwin. Then for 9 months almost I was in Cerdwin's belly. At length I became Taliesin. Johannes I was called, and Merlin the diviner, and Elias, but at length every king shall call me Taliesin. I am able to instruct the whole universe. Taliesin. First I was with my lord in the highest sphere, and then I was in his buttery. Kai. I conveyed the divine spirit across Jordan to the level of the vale of Hebron. Caleb. I was the throne of the distributor. I was minstrel to the Danes of Lachlan. Moriah. I was fostered in the ark, and I have been teacher to the intelligences. Hu Gadarn. Once I was in India and Asia. I have now come here to the remnant of Troy. Gomer. I have sat in an uneasy chair. I know the names of the stars from north to south. My original country is the land of the cherubim, the reign of the summer stars. Idris. I was in the firmament on the galaxy when Rome was built and whirled around motionless between 3 elements. Rhea. I was loquacious before I was given speech. I am Alpha Tetragrammaton. Akab. I was with my king in the manger of the ass. Jose. On the fall of Lucifer to the lowest depths of hell, I was instructor to Enoch and Noah. I was on the horse's crupper of Enoch and Elias. I was also at Carabedion. Uriel. I suffered hunger with the son of the Virgin. I was on the high cross in the land of the Trinity. I was 3 periods in the castle of Aaronhod above the castle of the Sadi. Jesus. I am a wonder whose origin is not known. I shall remain until the day of doom upon the face of the earth. Jachin. So it seems that the answer to the conundrum is a bardic alphabet closely resembling O'Flattery's, but with Moravan for Moria, Naestan for Niagadon, Rhea for Reuben, Salome for Salia, Gadarn for Gath, Uriel for Uriah, and Taliesin for Talamon. This may seem an anticlimax, beyond establishing that the Biobaloth is at any rate as old as the 13th century Red Book of Hergest, in which the Haynes Taliesin occurs, and not mere pedantry or artificiality of flatteries. What has been learned? Man, let me try that sentence again. I hate when I do that, but too bad. This may seem an anticlimax, beyond establishing that the Bobadidaloth is at any rate as old as the 13th century Red Book of Hergest, in which the Hans Taliesin occurs, and not a mere pedantry or artificiality of flatteries. Flaherties. What has been learned? Okay, whatever. Well, by the time that O'Flattery's published the alphabet, the secret its meaning had evidently been lost, and there seemed to be no reason for further concealment of the letter names. It had indeed been published long before the 10th century Bardic Primer, but we may be sure that Gwion, with his dog, Roebuck, and Lapwing, would never have gone to such extravagant lengths in confusing the elements of their conundrum unless the answer had been something really secret, something of immensely greater importance than a mere ABC. But the only hope of getting any further in the chase lies in discovering what meaning the letters of the alphabet have apart from their proper names which are attached to them in the riddle. Do they perhaps spell out a secret religious formula? Since solving this grand conundrum, I realized that I misread the riddle. I was chief overseer of the work of the Tower of Nimrod, though I gave the correct answer. It refers to a passage in the hearings of the scholars where the work of the Tower of Nimrod is explained as the linguistic researches carried on there. See Chapter 13 by Fenuisa Farsa and his 72 assistants. The tower is said to have been built of 9 different materials: clay, water, wool and blood, wood, lime, and flax thread, a full twist, acacia, bitumen with virtue, the 9 materials of Nimrod's tower. And these 9 materials are poetically explained as noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, participle, preposition, conjunction, interjection. The 25 noblest of the 72 assistants who worked on the language are said to have given their names to the Ogham letters. The names are as follows: Babel, Loth, Forend, Salath, Nabgadon, Herod, Dabahid, Ptolemy, Calip, Moriath, Gotli, Gomers, Stru, Reuben, Akeb, Ois, Urith, Isu, Akim, Etherosius, Umelasius, Odonius, Affirm, Odenis. All right. It will be noticed that the list is a somewhat degenerate one, with Herod for her and Nebuchadnezzar for Ni-Esthian. The 5 last names represent the foreign letters absent from the original canon. The chief overseer of this riddle is not, as one would suspect, Fenusa Farsa, nor either of his 2 leading assistants, Gadel and Koeth. But Babel, for it is explained in the same section of the book that Babel is the letter B, that the birch is its tree, and that on a switch of birch was written the first Ogham inscription made in Ireland, namely 7 B's, as a warning to Lug, son of Ithlu, to wit, thy wife will be 7 times carried away from thee into fairyland or elsewhere, unless birch be her overseer. Lug realized that the 7 B's represented birch 7 times repeated, but to make sense of the message, he had to convert the 7 B's, represented by single nicks, into 2 other letters of the same flight, namely S and F. 4 nicks and 3 nicks, the initials of the operative Irish words Sid and Ferrand. This riddle is conclusive proof, if any doubt remains, of Gwyon's acquaintance with contemporary Irish bardic lore. And that's it.